Hey YouTube world, guess what I'm doing today? Yeah, this is fun. Had a little trouble with my natural gas hot water heater for the last few weeks. It is a Kenmore Power Miser 12. I could show you the exact model number, but I don't think my cheap phone would bring it up. But anyway, I'll tell you what's been going on, and I've decided to carefully pull it apart to see if I can figure out what's going on. So I've got basic mechanical knowledge, and I like to look at things and figure out how this part pushes that part and makes that happen, and so on and so forth. So anyway, what's been going on is when the hot water is used, obviously cold water comes in, it drops the temperature, the thermostat signals that or picks up on that and lights the burner to heat up the cold water. Okay. Well, what's been happening is the flame will shut out and the pilot light will shut out. It'll just completely shut down. All right. And some days it's okay. Other days I've had to reset the little trip switch, which I'll show you in a minute. I've had to reset the little trip switch like 3 times in a day. So the little switch that's been tripping on the thing is that guy right there. I'll show you the back of this in case you got this model. After some online investigating, this little guy here, it has 2 wires going to it. That's a heat sensor. All right. If the burn chamber in there, if it gets too hot, that'll trip. Right, and that's what shuts everything down. It'll shut down the flame and the pilot. All right, not just the flame. Pilot is gone as well. So whatever you do, you come in and you have to push that little button in the middle there. Push that in, that resets it. You can light your pilot and away you go. She starts heating the water. It overheats. It'll trip the switch again. So I thought, okay, first thing you think of is, well, why is it getting hot? Or is it really getting hot? Or is there something wrong with that switch? Well, I looked up the parts list. I couldn't get the switch separately. You got to buy this whole burner assembly. So I thought, okay, let's try and figure out if the switch isn't faulty, if it is getting hot in the burn chamber, why would it be getting hot? So that's why I just pulled this out. Okay, all I did was disconnect the pipes from here. Obviously made sure the gas was off. I turned the gas valve off and let the pilot burn out any remaining gas. Disconnected the pipes here, all right, from the assembly. Now, having a look, this tank is probably, I think we installed it maybe 4 years ago, 5. It doesn't get, there's my wife and I and grandkids are over here getting showers and baths a few times a week, so I wouldn't say it's high use. But as you can see, the burner doesn't look too bad. Let me get some more lighting. Lighting here is terrible for you guys, so I am going to check that out. I'm going to clean everything up here. All right. Apparently that is that guy there. Now I'm having a hard time with the light here. This guy here is a what do they call it? Thermocouple. So I'm going to clean that up. I don't think that's the issue, to be honest, but I will clean it up. While I get everything out, I'm going to clean everything up. But what I think the problem is, sorry, I'm up and down like a yo-yo here. Down the bottom, you will see this is like a foot stand for the tank, but it's also got the air vents, all right, to allow air to come into the burn chamber. Well, it had a thin, flimsy mesh screen on there, which I only discovered later on, well after we had this installed, and the mesh screen was all blocked up full of dust and dirt, so I took it off to clean it, and I thought, very fine mesh screen like you would have on your windows as a, bug screen. And so I cleaned it up and I thought, oh, this thing's a pain in the ass. And a plumber and technician said to me, just leave that off, they're a pain in the bum. So I thought, fair enough, yeah. Well, I assumed that the bottom of the tank casing here, I assumed that air could go in and straight up. I assumed the bottom of the tank casing was totally open to have air going to the flame. Well, it's not. Right there is a very, very fine sort of a mesh screen again. So I think what I have done by removing the bottom one, it's allowed that one to get blocked full of dust and crap, which is restricting the oxygen to the flame. I think I can back that up by looking at the flame when it is burning. It's you should have a perfectly blue, clean blue flame, and this one wasn't. I would have a blue base of the flame, but halfway from the top half of the flame was orange tips, which is usually a sign of a lack of oxygen. Okay, so I think that's what I've done. I think by removing that bottom screen instead of cleaning it and putting it back, I think I've actually caused that screen, that mesh screen, which I'm assuming it makes sense that all this is closed off so you don't get lint from the dryer or those dryer sheets or any piece of paper up under here catching a light. Okay, so I think by me removing that screen, it's caused that one to block up. All right, so she's not getting air. It's overheating in that chamber because when that switch would trip, this is the front side of that switch. When this would trip, I'd go to press the reset button. The reset button was very hot, almost burnt my finger, and this whole panel here was hot. So it definitely was overheating in there. So anyway, that's enough for me talking for a little while. I'm going to get in here, clean all this out. I'm going to clean out that mesh screen. I'm going to clean up all these bits and pieces, and I'll light it up, and we'll come back and see if that actually made any difference or not. Thanks for watching so far. Okay, people, I'm back. I cleaned out the the ventilation slots, or screen, if you want to call it, at the bottom of the outer casing that it feeds air into the burner assembly. So it was very difficult to get in there. It was hard to actually tell whether it was blocked or not, but I was definitely vacuuming crap out of there, so, and banging and brushing crap out of there. So it's all back together. I just lit it up, and it heated up to the first setting. Yeah, I just put it on to, the recommended setting, and it heated up all the way without that little heat sensor switch tripping. So I'm gonna just go one more. Got a good flame. Actually, that flame is definitely, for want of a better term, it is roaring. So it's definitely breathing better. Absolutely. It's a more vibrant flame. I could just tell by hearing it. It's certainly just, it's roaring like a freaking steam train. You'll also notice I put the little mesh filter screen back on the bottom. It was pretty, it wasn't difficult to put on. It just, you start feeding it in there and just keep feeding it, and it slides all the way around the back and keeps feeding until it stops on the other side here. So it's not as if it just runs on a channel and you just slide it in and just keep pushing it and feeding it, and it goes around the back of the tank. So it's not as if it was a pain in the butt to take off or put back on. So I think compared to having to pull the whole burner assembly out and getting in there, because it was really difficult to get into that inner screen and clean it. So and look, the plumber that I usually use, he's a great guy. He said, to leave that screen off because they're a pain in the butt because you've got to clean them, but it's there for a reason, and I usually agree with that. I usually think that way. The guys that design and built this tank are smarter than me, so, or at least I hope so. So that that screen gauze there, that I said it certainly must do something, because the first time I noticed it, I didn't even notice it was a screen, but the first time I noticed it, it was blocked full of dust. So if I take that one off, that means the inner screen near the burner is going to get blocked full of dust. So, I would rather have to maintain that one than the one inside the burner assembly. So, all right, well, I will end the video at that. See, by now, normally, look, I'm not going to call this fixed yet. I will let it go for a few days, and I will, after I upload this video, I'll let this burn for a few days, and I will upload a comment to let you guys know whether it's continuing to be successful or not. But so far, based on what I've seen, even just to to light this thing and to get it to the recommended setting where they're lining up the two triangles there, as you can see, I've gone past that. Well, even just getting this to heat up to that recommended triangular setting, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it would have tripped the heat sensor anyway. So far so good. All right, thank you.